Hey, who's going to join me? Who's going to join me live today? Hopefully you can hear me. It is great to be here. Let me check my settings on here. We are live. We are live and in the building. So, if you can see my shirt, if you know who this is Pennywise from It. You'll float too. So, welcome to the live channel. I'm waiting for some people to come and join me today. I'm a new, well, not necessarily new YouTuber, but I am trying to expand my platform. So I'm here today just to have a Christmas Eve conversation with those who, you know, next week it'll be the new year, 2025. And of course, as we all know, there are going to be some changes in the administration. So, hey, let's have a conversation. Let's talk about it. Let's come on in and join me because there are some things that we definitely can talk about going into Christmas Day. And I am grateful to be able to have a voice in the platform. That's basically what I'm appreciative of. But come on in and join me. Come on in, and if you want to post a comment, we can have a conversation on how you feel what 2025 is going to look like. We can talk about whatever. You can get to know me. I can get to know you. So why don't you come on in and join me? Anyways, with that being said, let me take a look at some of my edits here. Let me just take a look to see what's going on. So how can I send this to people? Hmm. Let's see. All right. Okay. Well, with that being said, first and foremost, 2025 is going to be a very, very challenging time for us. Let me take a drink of my apple juice and Sprite. Anyways, um, I'm definitely praying for our world and our country, um, especially our country, because crap is already hitting the fan. And I'm gonna try to keep it clean. I try to refrain from cursing. I try to refrain from, uh, just the bad mouth. I have kids, so I don't want my kids to try to imitate me with my mouth. So, with that being said, welcome to the Just Listen podcast live. I'm your host, Walt. We got a lot to talk about, though. Um, when it comes to just being a genuine and real person, everybody's real, but you have those that are genuine, you have those that are not genuine. They're ingenuine. Um, we definitely are in a time frame now where politics has been extremely polarizing. We're definitely in a time where there is so much division, there's so much animosity and hate, especially in America, but I'm pretty sure this is spread out worldwide. That we really have to see who are our true and up close allies, um, and I mean your friends and everything else. We, uh, I'm lost for words, man. I am definitely lost for words as I check my phone really quick. Um, we definitely have many issues that are going on across the political spectrum. We have issues with mental health. We have issues with what is right and what is wrong, what is left and what is right, what is up and what is down. And the misinformation that we get and we receive, we take that and we spread it like wildfire. And I'm a type of person that I do my research. I make sure that I get the facts, and I make sure that you know I um, I really try to make sure that I'm doing the right things and saying the right things. And if I'm wrong, I will correct myself. We have people that do not correct themselves. It doesn't matter if they're wrong, or if they're wrong, they won't correct themselves. They won't say anything to say, hey, I'm sorry, I was incorrect, I was wrong, and I apologize. But you know, whew, it's gonna be a very, very, very rough time for many people. Um, just to quote the words of what Elon Musk said, is we're gonna face some hardships. We're gonna face some hardships, and then we're gonna get out. But I'm confused as to us facing some hardships. I'm confused as to, are you going to face some hardships, or people like me that's going to face some hardships? Because you being the richest man on earth, you being the richest man on this land, is where is it that you're going to face some hardships? Whereas the person like myself, who, I have to have a job, I have to make money, I have to provide for my family, my wife and I. Where is the hardships going to hit at for you? Because you saying that and being the multi-billionaire that you are, is why would we have to face some hardships? I mean, why would we specifically have to face some hardships? How come it couldn't be that we will get through our many challenges together? We have this talk about the economy, we have this talk about inflation, gas, groceries, and all that kind of stuff. Yet, what are we doing about that? What are we doing, about the particular or quote unquote hardships that people like myself or people in the lower class have to deal with on a day in and day out basis? Let's talk about this. Let's talk about how inflation or the price of things have increased, yet there are many cities, many states that the minimum wage is still 7.25. Where you got these builders that build apartment complexes, you got these builders that build homes, and we got people that relocate to these particular homes that are thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars for their mortgage a month. That's pricing the people that are in the lower class, or pricing the people that are in the middle class out of buying a home because they can't afford it, or they can't afford their rent. Let's talk about that in regards to hardships. Let's talk about how we do have many companies out there that do not want to give time and a half for overtime, my job included. Hell, my job, they don't want us working past 40 hours to get time and a half. You have some jobs that they'll work you 80 hours in a week's time. Let's say they give you 80 hours for a week's time frame. And you working 14-hour days, 5 days straight, or 6 days. You're working 12-hour days, 6 days. And when you get your paycheck, you don't see the time and a half. You just see straight time. My previous job did that. My previous job, anytime we worked overtime past 40 hours, which we do have an administration that's trying to curb, that's going in, that's trying to curb how overtime is warranted, is given out, where you might have to work 80 hours in a week for it to be classified as overtime instead of 40 hours. My previous job, I'd work 50 hours, 52 hours, 53, 54, however long they needed me in a week's time frame. And that paycheck will have straight time. So whatever I got paid, if it was $10 an hour, if it was $12 an hour, you will only get paid the $12 on top of the 40 hours that you worked in the week. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about hardships. 2025 is there's already been some changes. There's already been some changes when it comes to things that have taken place in 2024 with the Supreme Court and their decisions on specific things. There are going to be some additional major changes when we go into 2025. And let's just talk about that. In this upcoming year, we have social nets that are going to be taken away. I'm talking about your Social Security, your 401k, and I'm not saying taken away completely, but reformed like the Republican Party talked about. Hey, we're going to reform some things. We're going to do away with some things. And We need to talk about, our veterans, our military veterans. My brother is a retired vet. He served in the Army for 20 plus years. Uh, my best friend, who is like my brother, he's in the military now. He's been in the military for about 16 years. And we have to talk about specific things that take place with our veterans and our active duty military. Because with our active duty military, we have somebody that is supposed to be over our military that has little experience in regards to how to manage the millions of soldiers that we have out there spread across the US. I honestly feel like experience when it comes to, let's say, the Trump administration doesn't matter. It's crazy. Welcome to the channel on live. Welcome. You can post in the comment section. Hopefully my comments is up, but let me know what you think 2025 is going to look like. Oh, and then you're gone. That's all good. I'm just working and trying to figure this stuff out myself. So whoever pops in and pops out, it's all good. But we have a upcoming administration that, some of these people don't even have experience in the background that they're being placed in administration. That's crazy. It's no more about the experience now. It's more about how much money you have or your relationship with the person that is putting you in place. I want somebody experienced running our military. I don't want someone that is flying off the handle, that has a issue with, um, just has a terrible pattern or issue when it comes to making sure that our soldiers are equipped to be able to defend our country, and then also help our allies. So if we get this Pete Hegseth guy into the administration, and he's actually over our military, um, I, that's going to be wild. That's going to be really crazy because our generals, all the people that have served for several years, they've been in several different wars, they've had several different experiences, they've had a platoon under them that they've had to, communicate and coordinate and instruct. We really going to be facing some issues. Also, another thing I want to touch on that. I heard in regards to the, let's say, transgender in the military. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't care who goes and signs up for the military. I'm gonna just be honest with you on that. I don't care because I'm not going. I'm not gonna go and fight. I'll defend myself if I have to. But if somebody wants to join the military, like my brother did, they have that right and that choice. Especially if they feel that they don't have a plan in life after school, or they are at the legal age to get into the military and they want to drop out of school. I'm not for sure how it goes these days, but I'm not joining the military. I've been there and done that. I played sports my entire life, and you do have those recruiters coming to your school, and they're getting you to do push-ups, and they're giving you flyers out and everything, talking about how great the military is. Hey, if somebody wants to join the military, so be it. I don't care what they are. I don't care if they feel like they're transgender. I don't care if they're gay. I don't care, when it comes to that. But I do care if they're a racist. I do care if somebody does not like a certain race joining the military, because I feel like they're, uh, we're equipping a person that is hateful or a fascist or racist. We're equipping them to be in the military to where they're getting trained on how to fire a weapon. We're training them on how to defend themselves or how to immobilize somebody. I don't want that type of person in the military, in which we do have particular issues when it comes to biases in the military as it is. That's why we see that the military numbers in regards to people signing up or enrolling into the military have been on the decline. And it's not because of who's in the military, it's because of who's running the military, who are the generals, who are the instructors. And some people these days, some people just, they cannot take, or they cannot handle the structure when it comes to a military. Like I said, I played football the mass majority of, the mass majority of my life, actually. And I've played from little league football, basketball, baseball, ran track. And you know, there is a discipline that we have to have. You have to train. You have to, get your body right. You have to wake up sometimes early in the morning when it comes to the military, or when it comes to a sport and practice, just like in the military. You do have those coaches that are yelling at you, and they might be calling you crazy names and things. So you do have the bully system in the military as well as sports. Excuse me. But yeah, you have those things in the military, and some people are not mentally or physically equipped to be in that type of position. Maybe they grew up to where their parents never really yelled at them, or they never really had a discipline factor in their household. And so when they get to the military, or even some people that they just have an issue with authority, like they have an issue with somebody telling them what to do. So you do have people that are not mentally equipped for it. Just like when I was in college and I started playing college football, it was a different experience in comparison with how I played high school football. It was a totally different experience. I mean, the training was more intense because they were mentally and physically preparing us for whenever we go against our opponent, that we would come out as the victor. So, when it comes to the military, I don't care who's fighting for us. Godspeed. If that's what they want to do, I'm not stopping them. But we do have people in place that are trying to stop women, or trying to stop certain men, or trying to stop certain people who are trying to go into the military. Why? I mean, we already know why. We already know why when it comes to it. So, hey, that's another time. That's another day for a conversation, and I will definitely be posting in regards to the military and how I feel, taking care of our soldiers. But yeah, this is my first live. I'm just looking at the screen here, so we see my eyeballs rolling all over the place. Excuse me, but hey, I'm just a regular guy trying to do regular things, and I love talking and having a conversation. I try to understand everybody, but then there's the people that you just don't understand because they are gone, totally gone. But yeah, I think we're going to see a change in education. I don't think for the good. I think that they've already been trying to work on it for years on end. Excuse me. They've already been trying to work on it for years on end when it comes to our military, our education. And they're trying to do away with specific things. And, the parents should have the choice and all that kind of stuff. Of course, the parent should have a choice. But what if that parent relies on the bus to pick their child up instead of them driving their child to school and picking their child up from school? Because their job, you have some companies that they're strict. They don't want you to go and pick your child up at 3:30 and you're supposed to get off at 5 or 6 o'clock. I mean, we in this day and time, it's hard to have a job that's going to be flexible. And that's because of the country we live in. So, that's something that when it comes to the education, of course, education can definitely be better. And hey, it can definitely improve. However, you hear this talk about education being left to the states, and it's like, okay, so we have certain states that handle their education, and they're doing things unimaginable, like burning books or restricting specific kids at a specific age group to read books, or they are, they're doing away with specific books that are geared towards a specific race. And I think history is important for us all, whether it's African American history or African history. I believe history is important for us to understand what happened in Germany with the Holocaust. I feel like history is important when we had the issues where, who was it? In China, we Pol Pot or somebody, Mao Zedong. We need to learn that history because it makes us better as a person to understand how certain systems were in place to hurt or affect or keep that other person down in comparison to us. Now, the public schooling system, we see that we have specific groups talking about leaving it to the states, and then the states are taking away or are taking away funding. Let's just say specifically in public schools, they're taking away funding from public schools to where the kids aren't getting new textbooks. They're not getting the equipment to be able to better those children, and they're sending it over to charter and private schools. To which private schools, we can talk about the private schools. Matter of fact, let's hold up on that. But in specific states, like those states that their education is worse, you got to think that those particular educations were left to the states, like Arkansas or Oklahoma, maybe Alabama, that a lot of the education was left to the states. And guess what? What happened? What's their education level like? Let the parents have the choice. Of course. Listen, I have two amazing boys, and we try to do our best to stay on top, or did our best to stay on top, because one is an adult, of their education. But sometimes it's hard for a parent to work 10, 12 hours in a day and then have to come home and try to help their child with their homework, and they got a whole bunch of homework and trying to figure it out with them. That that's a strain on the parent as well. So we have to allow the teachers to teach the curriculum, and the parents oversee what the children are getting into in regards to it. And you have to have dialogue and communication with that teacher. I'm tired of specific people in politics and in power trying to dictate how teachers are supposed to teach their kids, because of the boogeyman that they talk about. They're teaching their kids on how to be specific things. No, both of my boys, my youngest, his education is he's learning the cores: English, reading, math. He's not into geography yet, but he'll get there. So we have certain issues in place to where, yeah, they say to leave it to the states and all that kind of stuff. And of course, states are trying to take away Black history. States are trying to take away specific things because they feel that a certain group will be upset at their parents because of the history. No, education is important. Y'all just some people just say that crap because they feel like, oh, we don't need to teach them what their ancestors went through. And hey, I've been to the Holocaust Museum. I've been to places where you learning history on specific things. I've been there, and I empathize with the families that had to suffer under World War II. The Jewish families, any family, I empathize, because no person should have to be put through a specific situation to where they don't know if they're going to be here the next day because of fascism. I really and truly feel that we need to learn that stuff. And if you don't want to understand history, I mean, then you're a closed-minded person or hateful. But touching on the public schooling system, touching on the private schooling system, touching on charter schools, we I posted a video on the public school and private school and just issues with schools in general. Teachers have a lot of pressure on them. Post in the chat, what do you think 2025 is going to look like? Come on in, post in your chat, let me know. Welcome to the channel. I'm talking about the education system, or I'm talking about specific things that may be taking place in 2025. Anyways, the schooling system teachers have so much pressure. Teachers practically have a target on themselves. They cannot teach what they are to teach without parents having issues with specific things. I remember back in the day when I was in school, my mother, she worked all the time, all the time. And, I relied on getting help with my classes, getting help with, something I didn't understand by my friends who they are my dear friends. I haven't talked to them in a very long time. And then also the teachers that would stay behind to help assist me, or even my coaches when I played sports. And I remember my mother would just ask me how everything was going in school, and I let her know, hey, it's going pretty good. I have friends that are helping me out with understanding specific things if I don't understand it, and I have people that they were there to help me out. And so she, being the single parent, because my father, my papa was a Rolling Stone, she took her time to understand that I had people in place that would help me out. And she understood that. And the people that were in place to help me out were my teachers, my coaches, and my friends. And they did a great job with helping me out. Teachers have a lot of pressure on them. Teachers have a lot of things that they have to deal with, especially the angry parents. So my wife and I, we try to be cordial, we try to be respectful, and we try to ask the teacher if there's anything that we need to help them out with when it comes to our child or our children. Leave the public school teachers alone. Leave them alone. Pay them more money too. Pay them more money. Let's, instead of closing these public schools down, and welcome to the channel, but instead of closing these public schools down, how about we try to expand these schools so we can start, we can start having these classrooms to be smaller than what they are. But we have a problem here where we have parents that they relocate to a certain district or a certain area to put their child in that school that's going to be convenient for them to take and pick up from school. And then we have the issue with either the overpopulation or not enough funding, or they have to close the school down because of specific reasons. Teachers are leaving or whatever it is. That puts a strain on those parents because they have to figure out where they're going to send them to next. And what if it's that it's not convenient for the parent to have to take them to school, pick them up from school or whatever it is, or try to get somebody to take them to school and pick them up from school or whatever it is, or try to put them on a bus that may not be going to the route and they have to drop the kid off to that particular bus route and then pick them up from that particular bus route, or asking to see if somebody's parent can do it. That's not easy. It's not easy to do. Not every parent has the flexibility to take their kid and drive them 15 to 20 miles, being in traffic for 15 minutes maybe, and then having to turn around and head to work. That'll take them another 15 minutes to get their child to school. And yeah, you hear these conversations and everything about, oh, school choice, school choice. Yeah. How's that working out? School choice, let them choose where they want to go to. But then we put the kids in a certain pool to where the school's going to say, well, we want this kid here, but we don't want this kid. Or we want this kid here and we don't want that kid. We want this kid here. How come it couldn't be that if there was several schools in a certain radius, let's say a 10 to 12 minute radius from each other, you can say, hey, you have an option here to go to this school here, or you have an option to go to this school here that's in your district, instead of driving them all over the place. How about that? And I'm talking about public schools specifically, because the charter schools, there are certain things that charter schools do not have. And my wife and I are living proof in regards to how charter schools are. Our son, our oldest son, he's a grown man now, and welcome to the channel here. Our oldest son, we took him to a charter school where, you had to buy the uniforms. They had the uniforms and all that kind of stuff. That was expensive. And just imagine when your kid grows. They had the uniforms. I think we got them maybe 3 or 4 pair of uniforms. And when he had those uniforms, he grew out of them so fast, we had to spend another $150 for uniforms again. And it was like, oh my goodness. And just imagine, let's say the charter school that you take your child to, let's say that you send them to that particular charter school. They didn't have any athletic sports to do. They didn't have a band program. They didn't have certain programs in place because the charter school was probably up for maybe several years. They didn't have those programs in place. I played sports. I was in the choir for my school, the public school. And so he was limited. We had to figure out what we was going to do with putting him in a sport that was going to be convenient for us. When I was growing up, elementary school, we had a few sports. Middle school, it was all the sports: basketball, baseball, football. They even had soccer. You know what I'm saying? And then in high school, you had golf. You had so many different sports in school back then that the charter schools are not really offering and giving right now. And let's not get into the private schools here. Let's talk about the private schools. The average price for a private school after the voucher runs out, because they're not going to give you a voucher for 12 years. They're not going to give you a voucher to where you're not going to have to pay for something for 12 years. I looked it up. And you guys can check this out too, but it was like, I think the average private school was $7,000 per year. That's $7,000 that's coming out of your pocket that you can put in investing in stuff. Let's say you have to get a new refrigerator. Let's say your car breaks down and you have to get your car fixed. That's the issue with private schools. I am not a fan of private schools. If your child is in a private school, then that's all good. But I did a video on the public schools being gone in private schools. And with the private schools, they pick and choose who they want to go to the school. Yeah, of course. Yeah, maybe their curriculum is better. Yeah, that's fine. But that particular private school, let's just say your child, you can't afford for them to go to the private school. What they're going to do, they're going to say, oh, well, okay, it's fine. They can still come here. They're fine. Nope, you're going to have to figure out where you're going to send your child to next, which puts a strain on yourself. And not only with the private schools is they have free reign to teach the kids however they want to teach them, right? Of course, yeah. I mean, look at these private Christian schools and Catholic schools and stuff like that. What if you're a parent of Muslim descent and you're a parent of Asian descent, or you're a parent that you don't read the Bible, you're atheist? What about that? So your child goes to this particular school and is getting taught these specific things, but then they're being told that they have to pray or they need to pray and stuff like that. What if you're not a prayer? Yet, you take this child to the school and what do they say? Every kid has to pray. That's something that we have to talk about, because I am a person, my household, we believe in God. We pray. We're Christian people. We try to do our best to love everyone, and no one's perfect. But what if your child has to go to a Catholic school and they're teaching about Mary instead of Jesus? And they're teaching from the views of Mary. What if your child goes to a Christian school and your child is Catholic? Better yet, let's talk about this. Let's talk about this. I know that private schools, they get their money from boosters, and they get their money from the people that have money. Let's just put it like that. They have money. So let's put it like this. You either have to send your child to school with lunch, but you're tight on money, and of course parents like myself, sometimes there's a struggle in life. And if you have money, if you never had to struggle, hey, just listen to my stories, because there was many times where I've had to struggle, or my mother's had to struggle to raise and help me out and feed me. I remember back in the time where the public school that I went to, it would cost $3.25 to get lunch at the school. And I didn't want to pack my lunch all the time. I know my mother would get groceries and things, and I didn't want to pack my lunch. So I'd ask her for money, and I said, "Mom, can I eat lunch at the school?" The 325 adds up every week. And that's just like with the private schools. The private schools are not giving free lunch. I haven't heard of a private school, and I could be wrong. Here in Florida, I couldn't be wrong. They might be giving free lunch, but how come is it that we cannot provide free lunch for all children in schools, no matter what school they go to? Because it's all about money. It's all about money. You know, kids wearing uniforms to have some type of uniformity, thinking that, oh, well, we don't want kids to wear inappropriate clothes. We don't want kids to, uh, dress a certain way. There is a specific dress code, but how is it going to benefit the kid to have them in a uniform that you have to pay for day in? You have to pay for these uniforms. You have to pay for this stuff. I mean, and that's just with the charter schools. The charter schools is the same way. You have to pay for this stuff. Excuse me. You know, who can afford to pay for stuff? Excuse me. Who can afford to pay for uniforms every year when their child is growing? Who can afford to pay for lunch every year, every day that the child is in school? That's taking money out of our pockets. And then don't forget when they do the little booster programs where, they are selling toffee cookies, or they're selling you know Girl Scout cookies, or they're selling the little cans of popcorn or the candy and the gummy bears and all that kind of stuff. There's so much. Where's that money going to? Hmm? Let me know in the comment section if you jump in here and you think that what we're going to expect in 2025 when it comes to even the schooling systems and things like that. Let me know what you think. Better yet, let's talk about this particular conversation. There are certain areas, let's just say the suburban area. I can drive down 15 miles to a suburban area and look at their gated school, look at the gated community. The grass is cleanly cut, the grass is still green, the palm trees blowing. There's rarely any trash on the ground. You don't see any roadkill on the ground. That's in one specific area, right? That's where the suburbs is at. That's where there's more money in those locations. But then I go down to the hood. Now I'm calling the hood. I'm gonna go down to the urban area, the more diverse area, the area where the percentage of African Americans or people of color, the percentage is higher. And I can go to the hood, and I see roadkill on the ground. I see trash flowing in everywhere. I see, you look at the school, the fence is barely hanging up, and and the concrete needs to be redone in an urban area. And that's because of money, the infrastructure. The infrastructure. There's really no investment, right? You go down and you can see when you go over to the school, the palm trees haven't been cut down or shaved. Uh, the school is not pristine. The grass got spots and holes in it and everything. And that's at an urban school. That's at a school in the hood. And that's anywhere. The infrastructure is totally different. Grass ain't cut. You might have trash bins on the side where they will put trash in it, and it's full, and that's because of money. The infrastructure is different in certain demographics. So the schooling is different in certain demographics because in the school in the suburbs, books brand new or for a few years old, laptops brand new or have been refurbished. The school grounds amazing. Everything in its location. Because when you go in the hood, they got outdated books. They don't have laptops for every kid. Or their library, they have old books. They don't have the newly crisp hard copy books, hardcover books. You have the the football field that looks nice and green, but then everything else is brown in the area because they got a pretty decent football team. Demographics. If we were to invest money in all areas and then try to explain to the areas, this is a collective effort to keep it clean. And I know what you might say. Well, it was once nice before. Yeah, of course. But sometimes we still have to try to promote people who come from a unclean background. We have to promote people to say, hey, this is our area here. We have to take care of our area. When you go to certain areas in the ghetto, you can see up the board up windows and the barbed wire. And then when you go down to, a nice suburban area where the percentage of people is not as diverse, and you see how beautiful and lovely it is, you can just lay out in the grass. The public schooling system definitely can improve. However, we have to invest in those particular areas. Give the give the teachers a little bit more money. Stop trying to gin up lies and fears about our children being educated because of the lies that we receive from people in political office. It's crazy. It's crazy that we have to experience that. But you know what? We experience that because we allow it to be experienced, because we vote people in office who they can lie really quick, really smooth. And then when you look at the educational background when it comes to some of those people in office, hell, some of them just got GEDs. Some of them are just dumb as a box of rocks, excuse me. But, that's what we have to deal with. 2025 in the education system. Oh my goodness. Parents, let's be prepared. If you have children in public schools, let's be prepared. And also, when it comes to homeschooling, let me touch on this really quick. We did the homeschooling thing too because we traveled a lot. Okay. Doesn't work for everyone. Does not work for everyone. And also, there are many issues with homeschooling. The social issues that I've seen with kids that are homeschooled are so crazy. We have kids that are just closed in. They don't know how to interact with other kids because of homeschooling. They don't know how to have a conversation with someone else outside of their home. Their social skills are, there are kids that there's even a depression with kids like that. They don't know how to react with being in an environment where it's not them and their parents. And then also when it comes to homeschooling, and it just depends on that kid themselves. If they actually have friends in the neighborhood that they can hang out with and play with, they might want to be able to join that kid when it comes to a particular sport. And I know that what if you travel and your child is homeschooling and they don't really have that interaction? They're just going to be closed in. They're going to be closed in. And that really affects the children mentally. It does. It really affects them. And it also affects the parents too, because the parents are like, hey, go play. No, what's up with that? It's really a strain. It is. It's definitely a strain. But, on this Christmas Eve, so I'm getting ready to just shut it down. On this Christmas Eve, I just hope and pray that everyone has a wonderful Christmas. If you celebrate the birth of Jesus Christ, or just opening up gifts, I hope that everyone has a great Christmas and is able to enjoy themselves. And we're going to kick in 2025, and hopefully in 2025, it's not going to be as chaotic as they're supposed to be, or that specific groups are saying it's going to be. I'm trying to be positive about it, but then again, we're not there yet, so I don't know. But yeah, 2025 is going to be definitely interesting, and I'm going to be doing lives in the future I had to figure out all this stuff here because this is my second live. In the first one, I was just confused about everything. So I'm gonna have to do some more research and studying on how to do a successful live and get more people on here, or just get people to stick around and collaborate with me, talk with me. But let's just hope that in 2025 we don't lose our alliances with other countries that we've had an alliance with for a long time, because there's a lot of crap talking. This is Walt with the Just Listen podcast. I appreciate you hanging tight, and I know I've been just talking for 45 minutes to myself. That's what you do, though. Post in your comment section. Let me know what you think 2025 is going to look like, and then also give me a subscribe. But I'm signing off here so I can hang out with my son. He wants to play Roblox. So, peace out.